Hi all, I am Dr. Alamelu Mangai. In this session, you are going to learn about the most important and unavoidable element in the management system, that is communication. As five natural elements present are driving this mother universe, any management needs five aspects such as speaking, listening, writing, reading, and observing as an important driving force for successful communication. In this session, you are going to understand the nature, purpose, importance, process of communication, network of communication, types or channels of communication and its problem. For sure, by end of this session, you will be able to understand the ways to handle the laborers and to develop conducive relationship between personnel's overall advancement and productivity. Let us move on with the session one by one. First, you need to learn that communication is a natural process that involves at least two living things. Communication skills are the most important skills that we need to succeed in the workplace. Communication is an organization, therefore, it is a process that involves at least two people, a sender and a receiver. For this communication to be successful, the receiver must understand the message in the same way the sender is intended. Coming to the nature of communication, the communication will not be complete when not being received or understood by the receiver correctly. Secondly, it should understand the message in the same sense and should have substance. For example, the message written in invoice by the housekeeping personnel should be understood exactly by the laundry personnel. The transmission of messages also can be oral, written, that is commonly used. Sometimes twisting of the face, rolling of eyes or lip movement can be effective in transmission of messages. Formal or informal communication. Depending on the organizational structure, communications are made use of formal channels. For example, the catering manager will communicate to assistant manager, the assistant manager to the kitchen supervisor, under them and so on. This means there is no direct communication between catering manager to the kitchen supervisor. Channels of communication is developed among members through personal contact is the informal communication. This is also known as grapevine. This communication is faster but may pass on false or distorted messages. Communication should be a continuous process and goal oriented in any organization. Moving to the need and purpose of communication, communication in any food service operations can be followed in various forms such as order, instruction, information, observation, appeal, and policy making. Hope you will be able to make out the differences of these forms. With regard to purpose of communication, it helps employees informed of company's progress. It provides employees with orders and instruction in connection with their duties. It solicits information from the employees which may help the management. Each employee interested in his respective job is also known by this communication. It expresses management interest to its personnel and reduce the labor turnover. Moreover, it makes employees to work with will and instill each employee with personal pride in being a member of the concern. Moving to the next, the process of communication. As you all know, an organization will have five basic elements of communication. This figure gives the simple model of communication process. Starting with sender. Who is a sender? Sender is a person who wishes to speak out or send or transmit a written message. The sender makes use of symbols. It can be words or graphics or visual aids to convey the message and produce the required response. For instance, a training manager conducting training for new batch of employees. Here, the sender may be an individual or group or an organization. The views, background, approach, skills, competencies and knowledge of the sender have a great impact on the message. Message. Here, the information, appeal, order, instruction, observation, report is communicated. Message is the key idea that the sender wants to communicate. It is a sign that elicits the response of the recipient. Communication process begins with deciding about the message to be conveyed. It must be ensured that the main objective of the message is clear. Encoding. It is the process where the information you would like to communicate get transformed into a form to be sent and decoded by the receiver. Thus, it is an act of organizing message in suitable words, charts, or any other specific symbol for transmission. Whereas, the act of saying or sending or issuing the message is the communication channel. These channels include verbal, such as telephone or face-to-face conversation, or non-verbal, such as email and text messaging, etc. Each individual channel has its strength and weakness in terms of communicating. For instance, written medium is chosen when a message has to be conveyed to a small group of people, while an oral medium is chosen when spontaneous feedback is required from the recipient, as misunderstandings are cleared then and there. And then the receiver. He is the respondent, addressee, or audience to whom the message is to be communicated. Receiver is a person for whom the message is intended or aimed. The degree to which the decoder understands the message is dependent upon various factors such as knowledge of recipient, their responsiveness to the message, and the reliance of the encoder on decoder, followed by decoding. This is the act of understanding the message exactly as being sent. Decoding is on receiving end of the communication. This stage is just as important as encoding. Communication can go downhill at this stage if the receiver is not practicing active listening skills, or if they do not process enough information to accurately decode the message. Then finally, there must be a feedback or response. The reaction of the receiver, either by the way of reply or action or storage of the message, is a feedback. Having understood the process of communication, now it is important to understand what are the importance of communication. Communication gains importance in improving managerial performance as he is able to plan correctly, organize objectively, direct decisively, and control correctly. Communication brings understanding and acceptance of the work to be done. Efficient performance of work can be brought in good communication. Communication also aids to good leadership and coordination. A proper and effective communication enables in uniting the members as a cementing force and earns a well-knit and well-directed team. It also aids to job satisfaction. Effective communication will enable the members in the food service organization to understand the type of authority they have, what has to be done, their relationship with others in the organization, works expected from the superiors, ways to improve the performance whenever there is lag, and in accomplishment of the management objectives, thus ensuring job satisfaction. It also aids to economy in time and effort. And finally, communication aids to public relations. Management can bring acceptable image to the outside world only through appropriate communication. Now, let us move on to the communication networks. Depending on the nature of channels of communication and the number of persons involved in the communication process, the network determines the speed, accuracy, and smoothness in the messages. For example, if the network is roundabout or too long, the flow of communication will be delayed. The message may get blocked if it is narrow. Also, the purpose of communication may be lost and the messages may get distorted if the network has filtering points. With regard to the types of network communication, there are 4 types such as chain, circle, wheel or free flow. What is chain network? The message can flow from top to bottom or from bottom to top. The message will flow from a direct vertical line along the scalar chain of command through formal channels of communication. The circular network, the message is very slow because it is communicated with two of the neighborhood colleagues as shown in this figure. Wheel network. In this pattern, subordinates can communicate with and through one manager who act as a central authority like a hub of the wheel. Free-flow or all-channel network. In this communication, everyone is free to communicate with anyone and everyone of the organization, as this kind of network is informal and unstructured. The next is the types of communication. The communication can be divided into three types based on channels, direction and method. You are going to learn what these types are and its merits and demerits. First, with the channels of communication. A channel of communication is a path through which the communication or the information flow throughout the organization, and it is of two types. One is formal and the other is informal. The formal communication. This type is officially determined by the management, as this communication derives support from the scalar chain of the organization. It enforces a relationship between different positions. It adopts for downward, upward or horizontal direction of communication and transmits information at appropriate time. It also determines the information to be communicated and the person to be communicated. It processes and interprets the data before giving feedback and maintains the records of all the information till required. What is the significance of such kind of communication? An organized communication system follows this upward communication rather than downward communication, because it gives opportunity to the members of the organization to inform the feelings and suggestions to improve the method of work. The other type in the channels of communication is informal communication. When employees are unable to communicate to the higher authorities due to barriers in communication, they use this informal communication. Here, the transmission of messages is distorted and may appear through grapevine. What is a grapevine? Grapevine is an essential part of the human environment, as it fills the gaps in the formal communication system. This grapevine works in a great speed and the messages are disseminated very promptly. It provides the workers to express their fears, views and thoughts. As well, this grapevine allows the people to interact and communicate with each other, and also it fulfills the desire of the subordinates to get the latest information. At this point, it is necessary to know about the most undesirable feature of the grapevine. What could be the undesirable feature of the grapevine? It is the rumor. The rumor, which is communicated without authentic standards of evidence, is always present in any organization. Rumor serves as a means of wish fulfillment or applying pressure upon the management. It tends to change from person to person and depends upon the interest and ambiguity perceived by each person. Rumor arises due to various reasons. Each person chooses details with particular focus to reality, and it constricts when transmitted to the last person. Much damage and devastating outbreak can also be reached due to rumor. Hence, it is a must for any food service institutions to deal appropriately with the rumor. Being a manager, how to deal with these rumors? Understanding the causes of rumor is the best way to approach rumor. When the cause is known, the next step is to stop it. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to erase from the minds of the people. In case of oral message, the message can be repeated clearly, as it contains only facts and not opinion of the rumor. It should not be exaggerated and should be circulated very quickly. In order to combat rumor, the management can also take the help of union leaders. With regard to the significance of informal communication, a better human relation is obtained in this informal communication since it links with people who do not even fall in the link of official chain. Can there be any demerits? Yes. As the communication is not authentic, the message may be interpreted by person in different ways. The responsibility of the communicator is lost since the communication is oral in nature, and in few cases there is also chance for the leakage of the confidential information. The next, based on the direction of communication in any organization, it may be of three directions: downward, upward, and sideward. What is downward communication? Here, the policies, procedures, programs, orders are communicated to the subordinates. This communication can be verbal or written in the form of orders and instruction, or as notices, circulars, letters, memos, posters, periodicals, publication, group meetings, etc. This becomes very important so that you can get the things done and prepare for changes and discourage misinformation and suspicion, and also can let the people to feel proud of being well informed. Next is upward communication. In this vertical upward communication, the feedback such as activity reports, opinions, ideas, complaints and grievances to the higher authorities is being sent by the lower levels. This creates receptiveness and feeling of belongingness as there is more participation. It also demonstrates a concern for ideas of each employee. The third is horizontal communication. This is also an informal in nature. When an information is sent among the same levels in the organization, it is said to be horizontal communication. This communication is undermined as it being the byproduct of vertical communication. Can you guess the reason? It is due to increasing size and specialization. The opportunities for crosstalks are cut down and has fewer implications of authority and status. If only there is proper understanding among the superiors, the crossway communication can be effective. After going through the types of communication, now let us move on to the methods of expression. The three methods of communication through expression are verbal, written or by gestures. More often, oral and written are being used. The gestures are also used when the communication have to be communicated very effectively. First is verbal or oral communication. As I said, the most effective method of communicating is the verbal communication. Here, the ideas, feelings, suggestion, information, etc. are being communicated. An intimate and personal touch is seen in this type of expression of communication, and also the reaction can be ascertained immediately. Oral communication may take place by face-to-face conversation, mechanical devices, or by interview, or by joint consultations, or by public or by broadcast. Let us see one by one. First is face-to-face contact. The direct speech between two persons or between small group of persons is referred as face-to-face contact. Here, orders, instruction, request, information and observations are communicated. The next is mechanical device. These include use of signals, telephones, intercom system, electric paging system and dictating mechanism. The third is interview. It is a two-way exercise where the parties make statements about their respective positions and ask questions. This may be for the purpose of recruitment or promotion of the staff members, or for discussion of personal problems or any other business discussion. An interview can be successful when a record of all the transparencies are maintained and when conducted in a relaxed environment. This will enable the person to give out all the information and the facts known. The fourth is joint consultation. In this method, Mutual problems of the workers and the management are brought together and a face-to-face communication is created to sort out the problems. A right to participate is allowed in this process. Next is public communication. In order to announce the policies of the organization, this type of communication may be used. For example, a press conference may be arranged following the guidelines such as collecting, compiling, and arranging the proceeding in proper and logical order. As well, for analyzing audience, this type of communication may be effective. And the last is broadcast. This relates to public announcements. Communication addressed to the shareholders or the statements from the management to the staff or to the certain sections of organization is expressed. Coming to the merits of verbal communication. Verbal communications are economical both in terms of money and time. It maintains a personal touch and ascertains quick and better understanding and provides greater flexibility. Can there be any demerits for verbal communication? Yes, because it becomes very difficult to understand if the sender and the receiver are far away from one another and will not have immediate value. And if the subject matter is quite lengthy or if it has to be communicated to more persons, this verbal communication may not bring desired results. In case verbal communication, the subject matter has to be maintained as recorded or has to be produced verbatim. The next way of expressing communication is by written communication. To remind you, the main objective of communication is to give information, to receive information, to record recommendation and decision of the meeting, and to give orders and instruction. Written communication may be conveyed through memoranda, employee handbooks and notice boards or through house magazines to the workers. But for conveying ideas, information through different forms such as orders, instruction, reports, returns, bulletins, manuals, handbooks, notes and circulars are used in this expression. These serves as a permanent reference for future and carries weightage and is very formal. What is an order? Order, as a form of written communication, plays an important role in downward communication, that is, from superiors to subordinates. Orders may be of three kinds. It may be general, specific, or definite. When orders are issued by the top management, it is said to be general type. When the orders are within the framework of the general orders, the middle level managers prepare a specific orders to the supervisors through onward communication. The supervisor in turn make definite orders and communicate to their own subordinates, and subordinates are asked to repeat back so as to ascertain whether he has understood it properly. Reports. Reports are generally classified as routine reports, commissioned reports and reports necessitated by special events. The report prepared from established procedure such as annual reports on staff members, monthly returns of production and sales, reports of outstanding bills are called the routine reports. Reports on financial viability of a particular project, the causes of indiscipline in the work are the examples of commissioned reports. Sometimes the management specifically sets the circumstances where a special report should be prepared by a certain individual or group of individuals. For example, reports related to an accident in kitchen, machinery breakdown or these of kind. Merits of written communication. The only mode of communication for distantly placed person is written communication, and this can be conveyed to large number of persons or when the matter is too lengthy also. This communication has to be written when the matter has to be preserved, and added advantage of written is that it can be used repeatedly. There are also certain demerits in written communication. Sometimes the main points to be conveyed are overshadowed or even completely missed when it is discursive. This may leave a little secrecy and sometimes will have no flexibility. Coming to the last part of communication, that is the problems or gateways to the communication. When a manager transmits messages, it will be evaluated by the receiver and decision has to be taken to approve it. Due to certain problems or barriers, there is a possibility for distortion. In large food service institutions, sometimes the message or information are partly withheld by few persons in the intermediate layers, thinking that it may be informed or it can be informed in a better way. Thus, the barriers or the problems of communication are as follows. The first one, the barriers due to an organization structure. The ability of the members in the organization to communicate effectively depends upon the organization structure, as in a large food service institutions have complex structure involving several layers. The organization structure may create problem because communication may break at any supervision level if it is transmitted falsely. Next is barriers due to relationship. The positions held by the organizational members determine the status. When the psychological distance between the supervisor and the subordinates occurs because of the status symbol of the superiors, an obstacle can occur and the inferiority complex of the subordinates does not allow him to talk to the superiors for clarification. Status symbol include high quality furniture, separate room facilities, etc. The next problem or barrier in communication is semantic barrier. That is, in the science of meaning, the words may mean the same to two persons but not the symbol of words. If the sender and the receiver understand the meaning in the same way, then the communication is perfect. For example, the word profit should mean efficiency and growth for the management and the employees, and it should not be taken as excess funds piled up through paying inadequate benefits and wages. The fourth problem is filtering of information. The superior always seeks actual information in those actions which need his attention. The sender may sometimes hide the information for the simple reason he may not like to show his mistakes to the superior. Hence, it is a role of the superior to get appropriate information. And the last one is perceptual errors. A communication can be effective when viewed through others' eyes. The cultural factor, education level, social environments, need are the factors determining one's perception. The complication may be created in this process if the message is interpreted from his own viewpoint. The last one also includes closed mind. With a closed mind and premature evaluation, the listener also creates obstacle in the communication. A chance of being rigid and dogmatic in attitude is possible in listener if he is suffering from marriage of much knowledge. The barrier also includes lack of ability to communicate. Those people who do not have a natural ability to communicate have to get it through training, because this may also be a barrier in communication. Inattention is also included as a problem. A common habit of many people is skipping to read the bulletins, notices, minutes, and reports of the management. Verbal communication may lose its purpose if the receiver is unwilling to listen, or who is preoccupied, or who gives quick comment before receiving full information. Resistance to change is an important barrier when new ideas are communicated. For example, when management announces change in timing, installation of new machinery, or place an order of work may bring a serious changes in the employees. The barriers to communication may also be due to conditions such as noise, insufficient light, and when an executive is overloaded with information, he may not have time to organize this information and hence may not be able to communicate effectively. Apart from all these barriers, there are also emotional reactions, irrelevant message, lack of trust, which act as a miscellaneous barriers. Thus, You will agree with me that all organizations will have problems in communication. Now, how to make it effective? In order to make the communication barrier effective, you should have clear ideas, facts, and information of the messages. You should allow a free flow of information, do not permit any clerical errors, and always have positive attitude and give attention to the correct style of expression. And always remember to have a follow up which will enable to have an effective communication. Finally, to summarize, communication is regarded as a tool for effective coordination of different activities of an organization. Food service operation should facilitate accurate to speedy communication of information among its employees with the use of modern gadgets. It should not disregard the potential of grapevine and should provide suitable checks and balances. Thank you.